Um, reset this thing. So basically, we've been learning a lot about fucking Star Wars. So I figured this jumped out at me. In case I don't think we've watched this stuff yet. Why Darth Vader never hunted for Yoda after Order 66. So I feel like interesting and question I kind of had, and as I kind of resonated, so I thought, hey, why not? Also, I feel like the real reason is because, well, would have fucking gotten killed. Don't know if that counts, but hey.
By the time of the Empire, all but a select handful of Jedi had been killed, massacred. Those who were not killed went into hiding, choosing to remain in exile until the time came for them to emerge. Or in some cases, most Jedi simply lived out the remainder of their lives in complete exile.
And then got slaughtered by Darth Vader, or fucking many okay, that's all non-canon shit now, fucking Star Killer vibes. There's many that looks like looks OG Yoda looked so bad in some scenes. I suppose you're not supposed to look at stills like that.
One of the most famous cases of this was the former Grand Master in Yoda, who sat in hiding on the swamp world of Dagobah for nearly 2 decades, though most of the Jedi were sniffed out and eradicated.
I mean, also, could he not have just also like concealed his presence vibe thing?
By either the Inquisitors or Lord Vader specifically. The Empire never even got close.
I forgot the Inquisitors are canon. Also, is this going to be like a Darth Vader wanted to be good all along, so he never hunted him down because he knew he would one day train the Jedi who would bring balance to the Force? I wonder if it's going to be that little shit answer. It's going to be like, nah, homie would have got fucking nailed.
For a few examples in Legends, in finding the legendary Jedi Grand Master. Part of this was actually due to the rather lackadaisical approach that the Empire as a whole took when trying to find Yoda specifically. Not even the Emperor or Vader made too much of an effort. And today, we wanted to find out why, specifically when concerning Darth Vader. Greetings, acolytes of the Force.
Like, I suppose in fairness to them, would you care enough? Like, yes, you like, would you kind of, but also at the same point, would you really? Because you're in control, you can control the situation, you know Yoda's still around, but you're like, at some point he'll die. Also, could they actually beat him?
And welcome back to the archives, despite it being Vader's job.
Thank you for welcoming us.
Yet, even his obsession to hunt down and kill Jedi, he ironically did not have the same tenacious approach with the search for Grandmaster Yoda.
Well, Yoda, Obi-Wan, I feel like there's a kind of a few in this situation.
The Emperor was keenly aware of Yoda's survival and knew that he was out hiding somewhere, and yet, the hunt for him was nowhere on the Empire's priority.
How do we know that he knew that for a fact? Like, just asking for a friend. I don't know if I missed something here.
List, or even Vader's for that matter, which is quite shocking. This is a strange phenomenon that we wanted to dive into, as it would make logical sense that Yoda's capture should be an important matter, but it simply was not even to Vader. So, my friends.
Did it matter though? Actually, didn't Vader kind of hate Yoda? Not necessarily Yoda as an individual, but I mean, Anakin hated the entire council for not making him a master.
You know it's time to open up another holocron and discover why Darth Vader didn't bother trying to find Yoda. But before we begin, we must let you know that many of the ships that have been passing through our system have not yet registered within our own systems. So if
Fuck, I'm guessing this, I was so confused about what this guy was speaking about. I was like, is this a way for him to Star Wars a fire? Please like and subscribe.
If you like
also, please like and subscribe.
What we do here, be sure to blast that subscribe button so that
blast that subscribe button.
You can be notified on all of our daily holocron uploads. Now, Acolyte.
You forgot you must also blast the bell.
Let us begin. We have spoken.
Also, why are we acolytes? I mean, could we not be something more interesting?
Before about the Emperor's shockingly apathetic attitude towards the hunt for Yoda, but we'll briefly summarize it here.
He has weird hands in that image, I'm just saying.
If it would lend any clues to
there's like creeper fucking pedophile hands.
Position on the matter. Lord Sidious was fully knowledgeable of Yoda's continued existence, as he knew that the little green Jedi had left their duel and retreated somewhere in the stars. After their grand battle in the Senate debate hall, Sidious had issued a detachment of the Coruscant Guard to search for Yoda specifically. Even after this guard found nothing, he instructed them to double their search. But then, he quickly switched his priorities, especially when he realized that Lord Vader was in danger on the world of Mustafar. The Emperor wouldn't return.
Okay, so prioritize Vader. That makes sense so far.
Turned to the search for Yoda and his greatest rival until quite a bit later, actually, when the Empire was more firmly established and the Inquisitorius had began their hunt.
The Inquisitorius, would it not just be the Inquisitors? Like, I don't want to be an English freak, but that does sound fucking like it's not a real word.
Ironically, Vader was more concerned about the remaining.
Okay, fair enough. Yes, it is a real word, but it's not like it's used in the correct, like, application.
Jedi than the Emperor was. In fact, the Emperor barely cared at all about the remaining Jedi and only turned his attention to them if they made.
Well, he already kind of won, though. It's like, oh, we've won the war. There's a few enemy combatants, and like in this case, I suppose, like senior generals and stuff. But do we care enough?
A nuisance out of themselves by starting rebellions. Examples like the Jedi Enclave attempted to do on the world of Kashyyyk. In fact, not only did Sidious not care about the hunt for the Jedi, but he soon began to actively discourage Lord Vader from pursuing the Jedi as well, because Sidious desired his apprentice to focus more on helping him run the Empire than hunting a dead order. You see, Sidious was
Well, we know how that turned out.
Confident in the fact that the psychological effects of Order 66 did more harm to the Jedi than anything else. It's also our theory that the Inquisitors were actually to serve as more of a fear tactic than an actual elite squad of Jedi killers. A deterrent more so than a neutral.
Also, in fairness, like if you have a grand tactical opinion here, okay, yes, the Jedi were pretty much, you know, pinnacle of, I don't know, fighting force, whatever, fucking magicians, fucking space wizards, whatever you want to call them. At some point, they would feel obliged to rebel or push back against the Empire. The Empire was in control. The Republic didn't exist. You only had a few small-scale rebellions. If the Jedi felt compelled to do so, they would not have the manpower to realistically take on the Empire. Without the destruction of the figureheads, they would not be able to realistically kill the figureheads. So when they start a rebellion, it would be a lot easier to track them down, suppress them, and kill them, along with any other supporters of the Jedi or the rebellion, all in one fell swoop, just because you had the sheer, like, power in numbers plus just power.
Neutralizer. This is not to say, though, that Sidious didn't care about finding Yoda at all. In fact, we do know that he did take a few measures once or twice to see if he could weed out his greatest rival and peel him from the dark crevices of the galaxy. We learned from the tales of the Jedi and Sith that Sidious did make an effort once or twice to send out highly specialized search parties to find Yoda, doing so, stating, out of nothing but sheer curiosity. Yoda also always had an insanely high bounty on his head, and there were massive rewards for anyone who could bring him in, dead or otherwise. Due to the high value of Yoda's head, many bounty hunters tried to counterfeit the Grandmaster's death, which led to a massive sea of individuals trying to collect on the reward. In order to sort out all of the fake claims, the Empire then made the reward only applicable to those who brought Yoda in alive. A near impossible task, but this only...
Well, I mean... okay, that is fair.
Lessened the counterfeits by a significant margin. The problem was fixed only when Darth Sidious put in place a rule that stated anyone who faked Yoda's capture would be put to death. Finally,
I feel like if you rocked up to the fucking Empire with a fake Yoda, you would have been killed regardless. I don't feel like that needed to be a rule. I feel like that was like kind of an expectation.
Counterfeits stopped altogether, and the search for Yoda stalemated. But interestingly, we don't exactly know if Darth Vader actually took part in this great search. Sidious taught Vader on many occasions that it was never about finding Jedi in the first place, which was that he took pleasure ultimately in the knowledge that the Jedi were being forced to watch from the shadows as the Republic they spent so long protecting grew to hate them. This was a fate worse than death. The hopelessness.
I don't know if that's worse than death, but hey.
And despair was something that Sidious...
I feel like at a lot of points the Republic might have not have been on the Jedi's sides, in fairness, during that whole war anyway.
Forged himself on whenever the chance arose. But the thing is, we know that Vader wasn't exactly like this. He didn't draw pleasure of the knowledge of suffering. He wanted to be its instrument. Vader was ruthless in his pursuit in Jedi, and would often prioritize certain Jedi Masters that he once knew personally. He collectively blamed all of the Jedi for his current state of being, with Kenobi being at the very top of his personal list. However, Vader is never said to have really put any effort in finding Yoda, perhaps.
Or Obi-Wan, in fairness, unless there's something I'm missing. Yeah, I haven't watched the fucking Obi-Wan series, so maybe I am missing a lot of stuff. But I don't feel like he went out of his way to try to find Yoda, find Obi-Wan either.
It wasn't because he was disinterested, though. There is the fact that Sidious did not want to send Vader after Yoda, which is something that
Because he would kill Vader?
we have spoken of before. It is a simple matter of strength.
Question mark?
Vader knows his own limits, and the Emperor certainly knows them as well. After his dismemberment and burning on Mustafar, Vader was simply not the same. Rather than being disinterested by the idea, perhaps Vader was simply afraid. One thing to note is that Darth Vader in his suit was nothing like how he was in the beginning of his transformation into the dark side. He was no longer arrogant and needlessly brash. Vader's bravado had been humbled in the most violent of ways. He was aware of how far his own strength in the Force would go, and he was constantly reminded of his weaknesses and hindrances of his suit. Had he gone against Yoda in the state that he is currently in, there is a very real chance that he would have lost. This is something
I know that's very real, as in, especially in the beginning, he would have lost.
that Sidious knew, and something that Vader also likely knew. There is a very real chance that at the time of Dagobah, Darth Vader could have reigned superior over Yoda, but again, there was always that chance. Yoda was still a master of the Force, and he had nearly bested Darth Sidious in single combat.
Which, but in fairness, we also don't know if Darth Sidious was any good at combat, in fairness. His whole shtick was intelligence manipulation, manipulation intelligence. He fucking, like, was a light Yogami. Yeah. We're just gonna skip that, seeing as I already fucked up the name. He was basically a non-combatant, effectively. He had, one lightsaber duel with Yoda, the scene with Mace Windu, and never really shown as any martial prowess. He was just manipulative and smarter than everyone in the room kind of thing. That was his stick. He was the master manipulator, which is really cool. It's also very interesting to see a villain that's not just, I'm stronger, so I beat. You don't normally see that in a lot of Western stuff.
However, during the time
Watch me completely wrong. You had 1,000 different people telling me that, oh, there's this person and this person and this person and this person in Western media. But it's just weird to see this kind of style of not just big bad evil guy, but someone who wasn't necessarily seen as big bad evil guy, but kind of manipulated his way to the top and never really like entered any combat or any big scenario. Was kind of from behind closed doors.
of his exile, he was approaching 900 years old, and he was arguably far too advanced in age to try to continue. No matter in what state of being Yoda is in, he is always a threat. He may simply dominate Darth Vader with his use of the Force, messing with Vader's chest plate and injuring the Sith Lord a great deal.
I don't feel like, I mean, if Yoda could just rip off his chest plate, I'm pretty sure a lot of other Jedi could have done that along the way.
The debate of whether or not Vader would be able to best Yoda will go on, with many different avenues of how it would work out. But the point is that neither Vader nor Sidious knew of Yoda's true strength at the time. They did not know what
They were just scared little bitches.
Yoda Vader would ultimately have to face, and Darth Sidious did not want to lose his apprentice. And more than this, as we stated, it was far more important to Sidious that he knew Yoda was out there, watching the galaxy suffer, than to have his head on a spike. Vader knew of Sidious's duel with Yoda on Coruscant, and if Yoda stalemated Sidious, then Vader probably suspected that he would have no hope of overstepping the Grand Master, or at least that it would be very difficult. As again, Darth Vader is only 80% of Sidious's power, as confirmed by George Lucas, the creator. But anyway, my friends, this is our reasoning as to why Vader never tried to hunt Yoda. What are your thoughts on our assessment, and why do you think Vader never bothered? Do you think that if Anakin had not been destroyed so badly on Mustafar, that he would try to find the Grand Master? Let us know your thoughts in the comments down below, and as always, my friends, may the Force be with you, and have a great day.
Okay, one. Those are pretty cool hoodies. I don't know. So the whole premise is just basically was to hunt him down. Which, fair enough, that could be a legitimate reasoning. But I'm sure at some point Vader must have thought he was stronger than him, especially when he had grown his new level of power. I don't know. That's actually a bit of a weird one. Also, I don't know. There's so many conflicting opinions about whether or not he was weaker as Vader than he was as Anakin. But either way, yes, he was a very different person. I think. I don't know. Although I say that he did hunt a shit out of Jedi and being quite arrogant in what he was doing. Yes, he did lose. I think the first time he tried to hunt another Jedi, which I think also kind of disproves that he wasn't brash enough to try to do it. Over time, they might have changed and evolved. But I don't know. I don't know if they really answer the question. But I guess that is also what that is. Anyway, chat, we are going to now do some gamey games. What we're going to play, so that's going to be interesting. This is just more merch. I know this merch looks pretty cool. Sorry, yeah, this was also the stupendous wave. I'll shout that out in comments. Take a vid. Yeah. You can look for the video yourself. I'll post it in the link down below. I will link it down below. I've also linked it in chat. Check it out for yourself.